and I have 3 children. We have 3 boys. And the biggest thing that we're dealing with right now is the little one is constantly snitching on his older brother. He's got 2 older brothers, but the brother in the middle is the one he is always snitching on. I mean, he will waste no time. He will come over and be like, he's getting into the... He's in your room, or he's under the bed, or he's playing with my toy, or he's not sharing. There's always something. He's the consummate little brother. In fact, he's actually outside crying right now because I won't let him in while I'm recording. So it goes to show you. But, the good thing about being dad is you can't rat me out to mom because mom's on daddy's side most of the time. But anyway, so I'm going to talk a little bit about snitches. I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and back then, snitches get stitches, or snitches end up in ditches, bitches. But the military these days, man, it's like, at least, and when I say the military collectively, I mean the military on the corpsman side, because I don't know anything else about the military but being a corpsman. That's what I was. That's what I am. So, it's really incredible that. And it shows the lack of trust out there. Is nobody trusts anybody, because in order for someone to feel wronged by another person and to pull that person aside, because that's what the rhetoric is. Like, hey, if you have something I do you don't like, pull me aside. We could talk about it. I got this open door policy. We could talk about it. We can discuss. Well, yeah, but that only happens if you have a degree of respect for that person. If you don't respect that person, you're not going to trust them to come to be able to talk to them and it mean anything. It's just going to be words. So, I haven't really ran into this problem with the snitches, until here recently at my current command, man. This command is loaded with snitches, especially these fucking doctors, man. These doctors will rat you out in a heartbeat. Now, you can call it following the chain of command. Yeah, but if I see you every day, I don't know if it's a CYA kind of thing, but man, these doctors will rat you out in a heartbeat. But that's not what this is about. That'll be down the road. But here recently, the number one snitches at this command are these fucking civilians. And you saw me on my last video talking about working with civilians. I'm sorry, civilians. I know it feels like I'm picking on you guys, but I mean, it's true. And I do want to make sure you understand that it's not all civilians. It's definitely not. In fact, I've had, 99.9% of the interactions I've had with civilians in the military setting has been positive. I got civilians who are great, Big Tom from China Lake, hey, Jonesy, you think I could get a Dr. Pepper when you get a minute? Yeah, just some chips from the ghee dunk when you got a minute, That guy's awesome, Matt from China Lake, man, I could think of dozens of civilians that have been awesome, Mike Constant, those guys, awesome people, great civilians out there. But here recently, man, nothing but a bunch of seagoing snitches. Just seems like they're trying to get you in trouble. Let me just tell you what happened. I'm at Balboa. I'm an X-ray tech, and we always have students going through phase 2. I talked about this in my video about X-ray school. I had my phase 2 training at the VA in San Antonio, and it was great. That's another situation where, again, 99% of the civilians are great. The civilian supervisor was great, the front desk, the staff, everyone, most of the civilians were great. I had a problem with one civilian there, and it wasn't even enough to ruin my time. I remember way more of the good times than the bad. So, but other places where you can go to phase 2 X-ray school, you can go to I think it's Bethesda on the East Coast. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. You can go to San Antonio, or you can go to San Diego, where I'm at right now. So we always have students. We usually have 2 or 3 students at a time. Sometimes we get these waves. With COVID, I don't know how that's affecting it. And we haven't had these huge groups of students hang out with us in diagnostic for a long time, but I'm sure COVID has something to do with that. But anyway, So this particular day, we're sitting in diagnostic. I'm, taking calls, and we get this patient come in, and this older gentleman in for an X-ray, and the X-ray's not in. So I say, oh well, the patient told me that they just got seen that day, so it might take a little time for the system to catch up. It's military medicine. We're working on outdated software, so. I tell him to just sit and wait. Very nice guy, him and his wife. He didn't mind waiting. So I go back to check, and it's still not in. So, okay, well, let me call. If he just got seen today, he probably forgot. It happens, But so I look up the doctor's name, the clinic he came from, and I call. And I say, hey, this patient is here. They're not, they're here for an X-ray, but there's no X-ray. So, I wait. Well, the person I spoke to said that they would put it in. So I wait and wait and wait and wait, and now it's been like 45 minutes. So I wait and I wait and I wait. Still nothing. I call again. They say, "Oh yeah, the doctor's in a meeting right now." Well, he's got a patient here. Tell him to just put in a freaking X-ray, or tell one of the nurses, or I don't care. I don't give a shit. The guy's been waiting almost an hour, man. Put in the fucking X-ray in. So. They never do. I end up putting it in myself, which I'm not supposed to do. But, it's one of those things where, you're not supposed to do it. But if it lets a doctor take one or two less steps out of his super busy day, then, yeah, go ahead and break protocol just to make sure the doctors don't have to strain themselves or break a nail. So that's what I ended up doing, for the sake of the patient. He was a nice guy. He waited graciously. I didn't want to have to wait any longer. So I put the X-ray in, I shoot it, and the patient had been gone for probably over half an hour, maybe even an hour. And I get a call saying, hey, yeah, did you shoot that patient's X-rays? I'm like, yeah, I shot it. No thanks to you. Now, full disclosure, I had a bad attitude. I was angry. I was pissed off because these doctors expect us to do our job. And when we don't do our job, they are the first ones to rat us out. They are the first ones to snitch on us. They'll call whoever they got to call. They'll call our chief. They'll call our department head, our division officer, whoever they need to call to get us in trouble. And we always do get in trouble. The doctors never get in trouble for anything that they do, unless a patient is lying there dead on the table. And even that, I'm not so sure. But anyway, so he calls me up. He says, yeah, well, next time just shoot it. I said, well, next time just order it. And back he says something and I say something, and I'm trying to hold him accountable, and he's just like, well, you know what, you're very unprofessional. I'm like, well, you're very unprofessional. And I'm going back and forth with this guy. It ends up getting loud. I end up getting loud. I hang up on him, and I did this in front of maybe 4 or 5 students, including my LPO, and admittedly, that was wrong. That was the wrong approach to take. I should have just disconnected. I was angry, and my LPO, he took me aside and said, Jones, man, what the fuck, man? You can't be doing that. I know, you're right. He's like, come on, man, you can't be doing that, man. What's the matter with you? You got to use your head. And he was absolutely right. Absolutely right. So, I went back in there, mea culpa. I apologize. Hey, everybody, don't do what I just did. I know it looks cool to yell at a doctor, but it's not cool. That was wrong. I shouldn't have did that, and especially in front of you guys. Please be better than me. I apologize to everyone. And that's how you're supposed to handle things in the military. You're supposed to handle things at the lowest possible level. You're not supposed to oh, well, you did something wrong, so now I got to go to your LPO, and he's going to go to the chief, and the chief's going to go to somebody else, and somebody else, and somebody else, and somebody else, and that's how people lose their careers. I mean, you're supposed to keep it at the lowest. I mean, he talked to me, I talked to him, we handled it, even if it was like a write-up, it's not going to go all the way up to the CO. We handled it. That's what we did. So fast forward down the road, this another civilian, this stupid cross-eyed bitch that works in the hospital, her only job in life is to answer phones and let us know which patients to shoot. That's her only job, and she acts like she can't do that. This chick is like, she's cross-eyed like this. I can't tell who she's looking at, I wouldn't be talking shit about her like this if she wasn't such a bitch. But her MO is she'll call us up, say, hey, I got this x-ray, can you come up and shoot it? I'll say, yeah. We go up, we shoot it, we come back down, and 2 minutes later, after we get back down, hey, she'll call again and say, hey, I got another patient for you to shoot. Like, what, you couldn't have told us while we were up there? I mean, this will go on like for a couple of rounds, and it's understandably frustrating. So what I started doing is when she called, I said, hey, is this the only patient? Can you ask the charge nurse if this is the only patient? And reluctantly, again, because if you make these civilians work any harder than they absolutely have to, they're going to have an attitude. So she was like, oh, fine, I'll do it. So this one particular day, she calls me, and same thing. I said, hey, is this the only patient? And she just gets this attitude out of nowhere. She's like, well, you don't have to talk to me like that. I'm like, what? Talk to you like what? What did I say? I just asked if there were any other patients besides the one you told me. And she's like, yes, I said yes. This is the only patient, okay? Like, this bitch has gone crazy. So I don't know. So I go up, I shoot it. I got a chip on my shoulder now. I'm pissed off because I've had trouble with this lady plenty of times. So I go up, I shoot it, and on my way out, I say, hey, listen, if you can't handle me asking you a simple question, then get somebody else to call. And she's like, I don't have to take that. I'm like, take what? I'm just telling you straight up. I'm like, I asked you a simple question. If there was more than one patient for us to shoot, not for me, not for you, for the patients here, so they don't have to wait for their exam. If you can't handle me asking you a simple question, then don't call. Have somebody else call. And she's like, okay, well, I'll be in contact with your chief. So, sure enough, a day later or 2 days later, I'm in Chief's office. Let's call him Chief Whiskey. I'm in Chief Whiskey's office, and I'm in there with my LPO at the time, who is, we'll call him Petty Officer Wednesday. So Wednesday and Whiskey, I'm in the office, and I know what's coming. I know they're gonna tell me, what's going on. Obviously, she put in some kind of a complaint, called whoever she had to call to get me in trouble, and she succeeded. She ratted me out because she didn't like what I had to say. So, I didn't threaten her. I didn't even raise my voice at her. I just said, listen, if you can't do your job, then get someone else to do it. So, I'm sitting in Whiskey's office, and he's talking to me like, yeah, Jones, what happened back there? And I gave him my side of the story. I said, listen, I just asked them, if there were any other patients besides the one that she called me about. And she says, Whiskey says, yeah, well, I heard that you got an attitude and this and that. I'm like, I didn't get any attitude. I said, listen, if you're going to give me, so much grief about just asking a question, then maybe you're not fit to do your job. What else do you have to do? That's your job. So, me and Whiskey don't have the best relationship. He's kind of a dick. He knows that he has zero credibility. He's a chief, and he has zero credibility in that department. Every time he shows up, everybody just kind of sucks their teeth and go, God damn it, can we get this? Say what you got to say so we don't have to see you again, which isn't often anyway, but he's that disliked that people just can't stand the sight of him. So we're going back and forth, and I don't remember what they said, if they were going to try to get me to apologize, and I don't think they did because I know I'm not going to apologize to that dumb bitch. So anyway, what ends up happening is like now they're talking about, oh, well, maybe, this might be a DRB kind of situation. Like a DRB, if you don't know, is basically it's a director review board. It's basically, they put you in a room with a bunch of brass and they take turns screaming at you and you feel bad about yourself, and I don't know. But I'm saying a DRB for what? What did I do? I didn't do anything. This is ridiculous. So I'm pleading my case, and Wednesday chimes in with, well, Jones, this wouldn't be so different than how you popped off at that doctor over the phone in front of the students that one day. And when he says this, Whiskey perks up and goes, wait, what? What's this? When did this happen? When did that happen? Yeah, Jones was on the phone, and one of the doctors didn't put in their exam quick enough for him, so he got on the phone and just started screaming at him, why don't you do your job and this and that, and Whiskey looks at me like when did this happen? When are you serious? What's the matter with you? And I'm looking at Wednesday like, are you cheese-eating rat motherfucker. Unbelievable. The guy straight ratted me out to the chief. I mean, unbelievable. Truly unbelievable. If I see Wednesday again, I'm probably going to kick the shit out of him. Seriously. I mean, when you watch military movies and stuff, it's always a code of honor, you know? You watch my back and I watch yours. We take care of each other. That is completely evaporated. Amongst corpsmen, I don't know how it is amongst, FMF corpsmen, or I'm sure when you're in a combat situation, I'm sure that changes, because as we all know, the only time people are willing to, do something that's not in their own self-interest is when it's a life and death situation. But if it's just, part of me, a very small part of me wants to say that it's not his fault. It's because we've created this culture amongst corpsmen where you basically have to sell out your buddy to get an eval so you can progress. Like, I have no doubt that Wednesday is definitely going to be a chief one day. Right now, he's a first class. He's definitely going to be a chief one day. One, because he's been up Whiskey's ass sideways, like he wants to be his boyfriend or something. And the other reason is because, he sucks up and he does what he has to do, and he's, not to say that he doesn't work hard. I'm sure he does work hard, but we've created this situation, we've created this atmosphere where it's not about your work ethic, it's not about your professionalism, your expertise. Hell, I'm pretty sure neither Whiskey nor Wednesday could shoot an X-ray right now, trust me. Or if they tried, it would probably take them 45 minutes, but the fact of the matter is that snitching on people, ratting out your buddy, I mean, with civilians, sure, because they don't care either way. We already talked about it's impossible for them to get fired. But your buddy, really? You're going to rat out your own buddy, the guy that you work right next to? I mean, how do you do that? Seriously. And how do you do that and not expect a payback? That's what I want to know. How do you sit there and rat on somebody and expect it to just be all good? Everybody knows you ratted on him. I mean, in this case with Wednesday, he ratted on me right to my face. This is the kind of shit you expect from a fucking, from a high school bake sale or some shit, not in the United States military. But, hey, good luck to him. I'm sure he's going to be a chief sooner or later. And, I just hope he's not your boss, because, if you do one thing wrong, he's going to, when he's a chief, he's probably going to rat you out to the CMC. And then that'll be the end of you. So watch your back out there. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Check me out on Instagram at Big Jones Big Life. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to more BJBL Unleashed.